If I had a penny for every time I've read an article about a movie or TV show predicting something that actually came true, well, I wouldn't be working here, let me tell you that. And it turns out it's not just the Simpsons that gets things right about the future. Some video games have gotten in on the clairvoyant fun too. We should probably start by saying that we don't actually believe anyone involved in these games had the power of foresight or were sent back in time completely nude Terminator style. A lot of these predictions are actually based on real-life trends and data, which developers and writers used to create plots that reflected the modern world. Others, though, well, they're just massive coincidences. Does that make them any less freaky? Oh, absolutely not. But what I'm trying to say is that this list is just a bit of fun, so try not to take it too seriously. I know that some of you still will though, and that's one prediction I can be sure of. I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 times video games predicted the future. Number 10. Homefront and Kim Jong-il. Homefront, a first-person shooter developed by Chaos Studios and published by THQ, is one of those games that always comes up in most controversial launches and PR stunts gone wrong videos that grubby little internet vultures like us live for. This time, however, we're not talking about how its contents got people in trouble, but rather how close they were to reality. The story of Homefront revolves around North Korea, who've reunited with the South and launched a massive military operation against the United States. This all starts when Kim Jong-un takes over as the country's leader after the death of his father, Kim Jong-il. It wasn't hard to predict this detail, as power in North Korea has been hereditary since the Kim family took over in the 1970s. But Homefront came eerily close to getting one very specific detail bang on. In the game, which came out in March 2011, Kim Jong-il dies in the year 2012. Now in reality, he died on December the 17th, 2011, but that's just 2 weeks out from Homefront's prediction. Now I'm not saying Chaos or THQ had anything to do with this, but equally, perhaps we shouldn't rule the idea out. Number 9. Mercenaries 2 and the Venezuelan oil rigs. There aren't many action-adventure games based around oil rigs, but if that's an itch that you want scratched, then Mercenaries 2 World in Flames is for you. Released in 2008 as a sequel to a game that came out in 2005, this Pandemic Studios project puts players in the shoes of the titular gun for hire in a fictionalized version of Venezuela. The Merc is attempting to track down a drug baron who contacted him about a job, only for the whole thing to flip on its head when the baddie becomes military dictator of the whole country. God, hate it when that happens. Part of the antagonist's plan involves seizing control of American-owned oil rigs off the country's coast. It's a smart idea. Control the oil, control the power, after all. But this plan turned out to be so good that a real Venezuelan leader did the exact same thing 2 years later. The real president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, had been buying back American oil platforms for the past couple of years, but in 2010 he ordered that all assets be reclaimed without any compensation being paid. I just hope world leaders aren't actually taking ideas from video games, or else we're in some real serious trouble. Number 8. Smash TV and reality television. Where would we be without reality TV? Well, probably smarter, happier, and generally better off. But let's gloss over that. The format of watching real people doing real things, can you hear the air quotes, really got going in the 2000s with shows like Big Brother, Survivor, and various TV talent shows. But before all that stuff came along, there was Smash TV. Smash TV was initially released for arcades in 1990, before eventually receiving ports for the NES, Commodore 64, and Sega Mega Drive, among others. The premise was that of a brutal TV show set in the far-flung future of, let me just check, 1999. God, I'm old. In this fictional program, a group of lucky contestants must kill or be killed in an attempt to escape several deadly arenas with their lives, all whilst the world watches from the comfort of their living rooms. Wholesome stuff, am I right? Now, whilst we haven't gotten to the killing stage just yet, the idea of watching ordinary people compete in extreme challenges for entertainment was really quite a long way off being popular when Smash TV came out. It wasn't unheard of, but it certainly wasn't mainstream. Maybe Simon Cowell was a fan of Smash TV and tweaked the idea to include singing when the networks wouldn't let him execute people on live television. God, spoil sports. Number 7. Deus Ex Human Revolution and the Prime Minister of Canada. At the time of writing, Justin Trudeau was the current Prime Minister of Canada, a position he's held since he was elected back in 2015. We won't go into the details of his tenure because you know as well as I do that politics and YouTube mix about as well as toasters and swimming pools. Instead though, let's talk about the bizarre fact that a video game predicted Justin's rise to power 4 years before it actually happened. Deus Ex Human Revolution, the third game in the Deus Ex series, pits hero Adam Jensen against a mysterious organization that attacked his place of work, leaving him in need of an extensive body transformation. Think Inspector Gadget, but with fewer helicopter hats. Developers Eidos Montreal are, unsurprisingly, based in Canada, and they happen to put a nod to their nation's politics in an email towards the end of the game. Said email states that the Prime Minister and his wife are Mr. and Mrs. Trudeau, and when this game came out in 2011, Justin wasn't even the leader of his own party. In fact, that party, the Liberals, were considered a bit of a political joke at the time. Is this wishful thinking from Eidos, or a confession of election tampering? You decide. Number 6. Fallout 3 and the oil spill. 2008's Fallout 3 is known for being the first in the series to be developed by Bethesda and the first to play out as an FPS. It's set in 2077, in a world ravaged by nuclear war, which is one prediction I really hope doesn't come true, although at this point, who knows. But if players decide to kill the game's resident radio DJ, 3Dog, his broadcasts will be replaced by a series of beeping sounds that some clever clogs with too much time on their hands translated from Morse code. There are several different messages amongst the beeps, but the one we're interested in says, "Accident in the Gulf, several dead, oil spill averted." Some fans have taken this as foreshadowing of the Deepwater Horizon disaster in April 2010, when a BP oil rig exploded off the Gulf of Mexico, killing 11 people and dumping hundreds of millions of tons of oil into the water. And if that wasn't weird enough, how about the message, "What are you talking about? You'll be missed." Now the first half of this message surely has to be a reference to actor Gary Coleman, who used to use that exact catchphrase, but the second half eerily seems to refer to the fact that Gary Coleman died just 1 month after the Deepwater Horizon incident. What? Is there actually something to this one, or am I just going mad? That's very strange. Number 5. Assassin's Creed Origins and the Pyramid. The Assassin's Creed series is known for taking great care when it comes to historical accuracy in its games, so much so that on one occasion, they beat a team of actual historians to the punch. Assassin's Creed Origins, the 10th mainline AC game from 2017, is mostly set in ancient Egypt, which meant it had to feature the pyramids. I'm pretty sure that's in the lore somewhere. In this virtual version of the Great Pyramids of Giza, players can travel around the wonder of the world via a series of secret tunnels inside the structure. A nice idea for a game, but surely that's all it is. Well, it was, until a shocking discovery made just a few weeks after its release. Actual Egyptologists with degrees and stuff revealed that they discovered a real secret passage in the real pyramid. It turns out developers at Ubisoft had based their plans off the theories of an architect named Jean-Pierre Houdin, who it turns out was bang on the banana when it came to the big desert triangles. So technically, this game predicted a future real-world discovery of something from the distant past as depicted in a game set in the present day that involves a sort of genetic time travel. God, my head hurts. Number 4. Elite Dangerous and the Star System. My understanding is that if you work for NASA, then your job is to look up at the sky all day, which probably means you should know more about space than, say, a group of video game developers. What? What do you mean people at NASA don't just look up at the sky all day? When creating Elite Dangerous, a space simulator released in 2014, developers Frontier went to extreme lengths to put their players amongst the stars. They created an algorithm that, using existing data on the known galaxy, created a highly accurate map of space for wannabe Captain Kirks to fly around to their heart's content. So, when NASA announced the discovery of TRAPPIST-1, a system of planets orbiting a star, Frontier announced an update to put it in the game. When they went to check their maps, however, they found that TRAPPIST-1 was already there. Frontier's algorithm had mapped a system similar to TRAPPIST-1 relatively close to where it actually ended up being 4 years before the Poindexters at NASA had discovered it for themselves. Ha! Take that, you bunch of nerds! I mean, I'm joking, of course. NASA continues to do excellent work, and if they want to sponsor us and launch Billy into space, they can very much get in touch. Hello, NASA? Are you listening? Number 3. Metal Gear Solid 2 and the NSA. Visionary designer and world's weirdest man Hideo Kojima has been praised for predicting the future in a number of his games, including Death Stranding, which featured people self-isolating before the coronavirus pandemic was even a thing. One of his most chilling visions of the future, though, is in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and wouldn't you know it, that's the one that basically came true. Lucky us. In this 2001 sequel, Raiden, not Snake, I'm still not over that, must take on a bunch of naughty people who are out to murder the President of the United States and just generally cause a bit of mayhem. One group, the Patriots, are operating something called S3, or Selection for Societal Sanity. Through extensive surveillance on ordinary citizens, they map the genomes of subjects to create clones and use private information to manipulate world events. Sound familiar? In 2013, whistleblower Edward Snowden revealed that the National Security Agency had been conducting their own mass surveillance of US citizens through a program called PRISM. This was worryingly similar to the plot of MGS2, only there were no clones. Well, not that we know of, but trust no one. Wake up, sheeple! Number 2. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon and the Russo-Georgian War. Today, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon is one of the most recognizable tactical shooter franchises in all of gaming, with 10 major installments and more DLC than you can shake a modified sniper rifle at. It all started with the 2001 release simply called Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. Though they can't play as Tom himself, god what a rip-off, players can take command of a unit of elite soldiers out to protect the world from evil. And by the world, I of course mean America. And by evil, I of course mean anywhere that's not America. In this story, the ghosts are sent to the country of Georgia to deal with pro-Russian nationalists out to overthrow the government. Not only is this somewhat reminiscent of the current situation in Ukraine, but in 2008, Russia actually did launch an attempt to annex Georgia. So what, you're probably thinking? The game's writers just looked at what was going on in the world and imagined what might happen next. To which I say, the events of Ghost Recon aren't set in 2001, the release year, they're set in 2008, the same year as the actual Russo-Georgian War. That is beyond freaky, and I'm even a bit scared just talking about it, so let's close out with something more trivial, shall we? And number 1, Madden and the Super Bowl results. Oh, phew, that's better. For the longest time, EA Sports' Madden franchise has been the go-to for fans of American football. It's the equivalent of FIFA for, real football, the Tony Hawk's games for skateboarding, and well, I can't think of any curling games, but if there was a curling game that all the curling fans played, it's that. Since 2004, EA have run simulations using Madden to try and predict the outcome of the biggest game in the football calendar, the Super Bowl. Whilst they don't always get it right, there was a period where the game chose the winning team 4 years in a row. The most incredible example came in 2015 at Super Bowl 49, or XLIX for any ancient Romans watching. Madden predicted that the New England Patriots would defeat the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 28-24. When all was said and done, that's exactly what happened during the actual game. Madden even called the type of play that won the Patriots the game, proving once and for all that no other American football game could even come close to its level. What? How did it do the following year in 2016? Oh, it got it completely wrong, but no one's perfect, am I right?